Hi, thank you guys for coming tonight. I'm Jennifer, and we're going to talk a little bit about inmates and animals. Who is saming whom? There are over 7.6 million animals that are put into shelters every year. 2.7 million of them are euthanized, often because they don't have the behavior that people are looking for in a pet, and so they are brought back to the shelters. They're not properly trained. We have other animals every year that are left out and not taken care of because people just don't have the time for them. Now, thousands of people are incarcerated every year. We probably have about 2.3 million people in prison annually. With a recidivism rate through the roof, these people are heading back to prison within 5 years of being left out. The good news is that there are programs out there that can help both of these populations. There are animals that can be led into families, and they can be integrated into those families because they've been well trained, as well as inmates given tools that will help them to be part of a community and to be more responsible and to really get out there and be an active member. All of these programs that I'm talking about are led by volunteers. There are already programs in several states that are run, and as I said, they are volunteer programs. That means that the volunteers come in, they meet with these inmates, they will pair them up with an animal, and together they will begin a training process. Most of the animals that you're going to see today in my presentation are going to be dogs, but this does happen with other animals as well, which I'll briefly touch on. In 1981, one of the first efforts was completed by a nun in Washington State. She brought in some of the first animals that were paired with inmates, and the success rate was so high that soon several other states went along with the programs. They started adding it into their prison life. And many of the staff members reported that overall tensions in the entire prison population were released. They were eased. And that the dogs that were trained were exceptionally behaved. Not just well trained, but exceptionally trained. And so those successes led to more programs. Some other programs, a prison took over a zoo in Florida. Miss Jean Sealander and prisoners got together, worked hard, kept a zoo open that was about to close. Through their care and their receptiveness to this program, the zoo that was about to close now has several hundreds of visitors every week. When they first started the program, there was about 36 people, they said, that would come like on a Sunday. And in the last few weeks before the article was written, there was over 300, close to 400 people that came in one day to the very same zoo. Another example of a great program is Mustangs. In Nevada, the BLM has been working for decades with inmates, training these Mustangs, and they are then adopted out. They actually have had great success in trading animals with the Forestry Service, who goes out and uses the horses in areas where they aren't able to take cars and other vehicles because it's a nature preserve, so they don't want any kind of electric or gas-powered anything in the area. So they use the horses that have been traded by the inmates. There are also several prisons that work with veteran programs to train animals to be service animals for veterans. One example of this is Patriot Paws. This is just one class. There have been several. It's somewhere in the line of 50 plus classes of graduating animals that help these veterans with anything from mobility issues to PTSD. And these, again, are all trained by volunteers and by the inmates. So, as you can see, they're not just training them for things like veterans or for service animals, although that is a big program that it occurs in a lot of these penitentiaries. You have household pets. They're getting the basic skills: sit, stay, walk, on command, and just your basic everyday skills that you would want a pet to have. And these inmates are doing it. What are they getting out of it? They're getting quite a bit out of it as well. They're getting structure and discipline, the pets and the inmates. One inmate stated in an article that I read that he felt a kinship with these animals because they too were locked up. The only difference was, for them, most of them were on death row before they were brought into these programs. So these inmates are also learning great skills that they can use on the outside. They're learning how to train animals. Not only are they learning how to train them, they are also learning basic grooming skills. A lot of these animals will actually earn, a lot of these inmates will actually earn an associate's degree that doesn't state that it came from a prison facility. So when they go out into the community, they have the ability to go into Petco or PetSmart, into the grooming facility, and oftentimes they can get jobs working in those kind of places. Again, these programs are all led by volunteers, and the key to that is remembering that the taxpayers are not paying for the food, they're not paying for the sheltering, but everyone is getting something out of this. So because it's volunteer, there are obvious needs. There's the great need for money. There's a great need for supplies, pet food, grooming supplies, leashes, things like that. And of course, time. If you have a skill in either of those areas, in grooming or in training, time is something that they can use. And they can use the volunteers to come in and help these inmates train. So, not only do the volunteers and the animals and the inmates live through this program, they're not just living, they're thriving, and they have a sense of accomplishment and they have a sense of responsibility. Both the inmates and the animals. Most of us are aware that animals feel better, act better when they are pleasing their family. And most people also feel better and act better when they feel like they are part of something, when they feel responsible, when they feel like they have accomplished something. So tonight, I implore you to go home and Google inmate animal programs and donate to them. Find the one that grabs your heart and your passion and donate to them. Because communities benefit when people work together and when they build each other up. Thank you very much.